Hi, I'm Mary. I'm a volunteer at Battersea.
Hi, I'm Paige. I'm a rehoming and welfare coordinator at the Cattery, and we're here today to talk about our Knitting Kittens group.
It's a group which has been set up for a while now and always attracts people and some lovely knits to the cats in Battersea. We're knitting some mice to the cats.
Every cat in their pen has various blankets and mice, and the cats generally do really like the mice as well. Every cat, when they go home, goes home with some mice and some of their blankets that they've had during their stay here, so it's nice to be able to make it yourself and make sure that we've always got plenty in stock as well for the new cats that come in.
What made you want to work for Battersea and look after the animals?
I always wanted to work with animals. I wanted to be a vet, but it turns out that's very, very difficult to do. So I just decided that I wanted to work with animals. Saw a job advertised here in the rehoming team and it sounded really similar to what I was doing. Applied and here I am 2 years later. What about you? How long have you volunteered?
I've been here for 10 years now. I can't believe that it's so long. When I left teaching, I decided to do something quite different, and working with cats is quite different. But it's thoroughly enjoyable and I really love it. I do quite a lot of craft work, making things for the cats. I thoroughly enjoy that as well. I hope that it helps.
Mary's very much underselling herself here because she makes so much for our cattery. Little curtains to give them privacy and stress management for the cats that really struggle being in here. Aren't things that you can actually order, so Mary's made them. The cats really need it when they're stressed out. What advice would you give to someone who's thinking of adopting or rescuing an animal?
Definitely go for it. Think about it as a long-term commitment. Go to a rescue such as Battersea or another rescue other than just going to a pet shop. There are so many beautiful cats and dogs here that I think they deserve a second chance. Do you have a favourite cat or dog that you look after at Battersea?
Yeah, I generally do have a favourite. I try not to, but it doesn't really work out like that. I mean, my recent favourite was, you might know him actually, Mary, a cat called Professor Ginger. Is that what you were going to say?
Yes, I loved him.
Well, we both love Professor Ginger then.
He was just so quirky, wasn't he?
Such a strange man.
And so individual.
He came into us as a stray, and he's just the strangest little lad. Like, he just does his own thing. He doesn't really care for you being there. Like, he cracks on, and had such like a bruisery look to him, but actually was really sweet. He finally found his home with two really nice guys.
I did hear that. I was so pleased for him.
There's always the right person out there for the right cat. It is matchmaking. There's the perfect match out there for everybody.
Yeah.
What is the hardest part about working or volunteering here?
Often people say, don't you want to take them all home?
Yes.
And I have to say, well, no, because it wouldn't be fair on the cats. Having 30 cats home, knowing that you are doing your bit for them while they're here and making them as comfortable as possible while they're here is good in itself. I don't know what the hardest part is. I think it's just accepting that there's things to be done and getting on and doing it.
The longest when I first started was a cat we had called Mr. Friendly. He was called Pete for a while.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And then we rebranded him to Mr. Friendly. He was here for ages. He had very early stages of kidney failure and just happened one day to be speaking to someone who is a vet. And she lived, I think it was towards Wales, and she travelled all the way here to come and get him. So it's really nice when you have someone like that. He's the one that I always think of when it's long stays.
I remember another cat here. It came in as a kitten. It was called Cricket. And absolute cutie. He had a very bad start in life, and he was very wobbly-legged and so on. He did really well here. He was here for quite a long time. Eventually he got homed and he moved in with another cat and a dog and got on perfectly with them. The people used to send updates. About a year later, he was just wonderful. He just looked an absolutely stunning, beautiful cat.
Yeah.
Whereas when he first came, he was a spiky little thing with his legs all over the place. He did so well, and he's just an absolute little treasure.
It's really nice to just have an hour where you just sort of switch off, particularly being in somewhere that is quite sometimes a very emotional place to work. Particularly with knitting and like doing patterns, you do just have to really concentrate on it. Otherwise you just mess up. But it does mean that your mind just has to really focus in on something for a while. It isn't you thinking about work or cats. Not that there's anything wrong with thinking about cats.
We have had people along who are learning to knit and are quite enthusiastic about it. It can be quite tricky teaching people to knit. And I learned to knit at school. And I'm totally in awe of this woman now, which I wasn't at the time, I dare say. She actually taught a class of 7-year-olds to knit.
Oh my God.
My hair stands on end when I think about teaching people to knit, and also thinking about things that I can do for battersea, and sometimes just working out what we need for what's something that really works for the cats, like the little triangles that I make, which have the fill-away spray on them. Also the curtains, because each one's are different.
I'm interested in what you're going to say about this.
Oh dear.
What do you like about knitting?
It's very relaxing. I quite like making things for battersea, and also I quite like every so often making something for myself. Though I must admit I haven't made that much for myself recently.
Well, you told me about this jumper that you've been working on for years that has never quite made it.
That was, well, I actually finished it.
Did you finish it?
I think I started it in before I had my son, then stopped because it was very complicated. And I finished it a couple of years ago. I do wear it occasionally. I'll show it to you sometimes. I probably started it in the 1980s and finished it about 10 years ago. So about 25 plus years. But it was really lovely card.
Probably the first hand brews that I had.
Oh wow, yeah.
So I've hand brewed now 27 kittens.
Okay, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I started doing it accidentally. I stupidly provided some daycare for somebody whilst they were going to a meeting for their kittens, and they taught me how to bottle feed. So yeah, I had that lot that I looked after briefly, and then some hand brews came up and needed someone to look after them, so I started doing that. They're a labour of love. At the start, you feed them every 2 hours throughout the day and night.
Wow.
And work here as well. So you do end up with some very bizarre dreams and really like overtired conversations. Have you made any long-lasting friendships by being in the group?
Yes, we have. In London, friendships are, you quite often meet up with people and don't see them for a while and meet up again.
Well, like casual friendshiping?
Casual friendship, yeah. So it's and it's always good to have the activities, the volunteers meetings and so on. So in that way, yes. How about you?
I have met someone at the knitting group that I actually rehomed some cats to. Her mum and dad were looking for cats, so I've met her entire family now. Generally, I think knitting can be a very and crafts generally can be quite a solitary thing sometimes. Yeah. And I find it very difficult sometimes to be able to read patterns and actually understand them. I just need someone to show me and just talk to me about it. Yeah. I've already been asking you for help about changing colour, which I've immediately forgotten, I'm afraid. It's those sorts of things you know how to knit, you know the basics, but you just need someone to show you the next steps. Yeah. So yeah, it's good, and it's good to have a motivator to be okay, so I need to bring something back for Mary to see next time I see her that I have actually done this. The original knitting group happened a number of years ago, and then with COVID everything stopped. When it began again, it was a few people began being interested in knitting and asking about it, so we got it up and running again with some of the staff with Battersea. The groups vary. Sometimes it's very busy, sometimes it's very quiet. It's just nice and relaxed knowing that people can drop in if and when they feel like it, you know. I have seen people scurrying about and learning how to knit because you have taught them how to knit, which is nice. You know, when you have problems in knitting, you get really frustrated with it. Exactly, yeah, and it's sometimes it's a case of just putting it away. I don't want to see it. We do get lots of people knitting things and posting them into us. There's a YouTube video of the mouse knitting pattern and some blanket patterns as well. We get things posted in from all over the world. That's right, from various knitting groups and nursing homes, and it's really, really nice. Yeah. Some of the ones that we've had sent in recently, these are your classic mouse shapes, and then you get some variations sent in. I love them all equally. And we've had some ducks. I've had some seahorses recently as well. Yeah, and bunnies. And bunnies, yeah. There's no wrong way to do it. No. Mine's going to be terrible. Yeah, and even if the colours are not matching or whatever, the cats don't mind. Who's the best or the worst knitter in the group? Well, you're obviously the best knitter, Mary. I wouldn't go so far. Well, everyone's learning at different stages, so I think it's a case of... Such a diplomatic answer.
So I think it's a case of giving people space to learn.
One of the first hand brews I had
Right, yeah.
is when I started trying to have purpose to my crafting rather than just aimless things I never finish.
Yeah.
And the hand brews do have a bit of a time limit on them because, you know, they're moving on in a couple of weeks. So it does give you a deadline that is quite handy to work to.
I can't remember the first mice I gave to a cat, but once again, blankets I make. Help make the blankets. Also some of the sewing activities that I do now. If I've made some of the little fell-away triangles, I always like to see them in use in the cat room. And apparently they go home with the cats as well, so that's nice to know.
Sometimes when you craft things for people, then they want more things.
Yeah.
Whereas cats, they don't really ask for more.
No,
but it's nice to see them use it. It gives you a little bit of like, I made that. That's nice.
A very strange cat who used to live quite close to me. This cat was very independent, fiercely independent. On various occasions, we'd more or less found him crossing 4 lanes of traffic.
Oh.
So he ended up scooping this cat and taking it home. Everyone knew where he lived, so he would be taken back home. But you'd go to the door, ring the bell, have him on the step. As soon as you'd walk away, if you glanced back, you'd see him coming out to see if you were leaving. He ended up in Battersea twice because he'd been found in Tesco's, he'd been found in goodness knows where, and he ended up here 2 times. So his owners, in the end, couldn't cope with him anymore because he was just constantly causing them such heartache. He did get a home. As far as I know, he's living very happily. He probably has his own Tesco card and so on. It was just so funny seeing him here so many times. He was the most bad-tempered looking cat you could imagine because he was furious whenever he was stopped doing what he wanted to do. It was so good to know that he was given a home.
I've got a lot of really funny memories. I've laughed so many times here until I've cried that I can't really count them. The most recent's definitely been Professor Ginger. One of his obsessions was hair bubbles. He was really obsessed with a particular type of hair bubble, the spring plastic ones.
Oh right, yeah.
A couple of times I went in to sit with him for my lunch and he would come over and go up to your hair and twang it against the back of your head. Once I went into his pen and I was aware of it and I didn't wear that hair bubble, I had a different one in, and he was so annoyed with me and didn't want to talk to me. With one of the people that came to meet him, she had that springy hair bubble in her hair, and I was like, I'm really sorry, but can you take that off because he's just gonna twang it and take it away from you.
Yeah.
So she put it on her handbag and he went into her handbag and took it away, and I was like, I'm really sorry. I'll get it back for you later. They didn't choose him, surprisingly, but he went to 2 men with short hair. They didn't have any hair bubbles.
Right.
So I think they're safe from his strange obsessions in life. So we haven't quite managed to complete it in... You're almost done. I'm not, but this is what we're generally looking for with our mice. They come in all colours. Yours is just completely pink. We use any donations that we get in.
We're grateful for anything. There's blankets as well.
We've got the YouTube video that takes you through a tutorial of how to make a mouse. There's loads of stuff you can make for cats. Your standard wool is absolutely perfect for them.
Yeah.
Yes, but they love playing with them.
They do. Thank you for watching.
Please make sure to like, comment and subscribe to Tom Daley.